Hello, good morning students. Welcome to B.Sc-II 4th semester Zoology class. Students, today I am going to discuss on the histology of tongue. Histology part we are starting today. We will start with histology of tongue. What is histology? Histology is a branch of biology that deals with structure and functions of tissues. Tissues. What are tissues? Tissues are the group of cells having common origin and performing common function. Right? Our body is composed of broadly 4 different types of tissues, such as connective tissue, epithelial tissue, nervous tissue, and muscular tissue. And these tissues are organized in a particular pattern in different organs. Okay, so tongue is an organ. Tongue is an organ. This organ is made up of the involvement of different tissues. So how the different tissues have been involved in organizing this tongue organ, that we have to study. So let us start the histology of tongue. Every multicellular organism starts its existence as a single cell, isn't it? The zygote, which by a process of proliferation give rise to the adult body. You take any multicellular organism, whether it is the mammals or amphibians or fishes or whatever it may be. These are multicellular animals, and their body starts from a single cell, that is the zygote. This zygote is formed by the fusion of male and female gametes. So zygote, which by a process of proliferation give rise to the adult body. This zygote undergoes cleavage, a series of mitotic division to give rise to multicellular organism. The cells of the developing embryo are similar at first. The cells of the developing embryo are similar at first. So at first all blastomeres of a zygote are similar in size, similar in shape, and similar, they grow continuously, and as they grow they undergo differentiation. So differentiation takes place, leading to the formation of groups of specialized cells, groups of specialized cells. Okay, each group differs from the other and performs specific functions. These specialized groups of cells for the tissues of the adult body. So they develop tissues. So similar type of cells together form tissues. Tissue is a group of similar cells with a common origin specialized for the performance of a common function. So what is tissue? Tissue is a group of similar cells with a common origin specialized for the performance of a common function. So all together perform a common function. The branch of biology that deals specifically with the structure of tissues and their arrangement in the organs is called histology. What is histology? Histology is a branch of biology that deals with the structure of tissues and their arrangement in the organs is called histology. So organs are made up of tissues. Tissues are made up of cells. Cells are made up of organelles, cell organelles. Cell organelles are made up of macromeres, macromeres, not macromeres, macromolecules. So macromolecules are made up of micromolecules. Like that, their organization becoming more and more complicated as they move to higher levels of hierarchy. So histology, which is a structural science, it gives a better understanding of the functional, physiological, anatomical and pathological aspects. So histology of mammalian organs. Let us start with histology of mammalian organs. Different organs are given, of which histology you have to study. The first organ that about which you are going to study the histology part is tongue. Tongue. The tongue is an invagination of mucous membrane of the floor of buccal cavity with its interior occupied by a mass of skeletal muscles. Therefore, the tongue consists of a central mass of striated muscle bundles, upper layer of mucosa and submucosa, and lower layer of mucosa and submucosa. The tongue extends to the posterior border of the mouth and into the oropharynx. The dorsum of the tongue can be divided into two parts: an oral part that lies mostly in the mouth and pharyngeal part, posterior 1/3 part of the tongue, which faces backward to the oropharynx. The two parts are separated by a V-shaped groove which marks the sulcus terminalis. Look here, this is the tongue. Can you see here? This is tongue. Tongue has two parts. This entire tongue has two parts. Anterior 2/3 part of the tongue is known as the oral part. This is what? Oral part or body of the tongue. So this has apex at the anterior end, and the tongue is attached to the floor of the buccal cavity with the help of its posterior end. Posterior 1/3 is different from anterior 2/3 part of the tongue. So in between posterior and anterior part of the tongue, there is a V-shaped marking groove. So that is called, look here, can you see here? There is a groove, and this groove is called as sulcus terminalis. Sulcus terminalis. Okay, so this is anterior part of the tongue and this is posterior part of the tongue. Anterior part of the tongue, internally it is composed of skeletal muscles, and externally this part is dorsum of the dorsal surface of the tongue, ventral surface of the tongue. Ventral surface of the tongue is soft. The dorsal surface is somewhat rough because of the presence of lingual papillae. Okay, so papillae are here. So different types of papillae. Can you see here dots. So these are circumvalent papillae, filiform papillae, so these are circumvalent papillae. Largest lingual papillae are the circumvalent papillae. So here filiform papillae are there. These are fungiform papillae, and foliform papillae are also there. So there are mainly 4 different types of lingual papillae. So tongue is posteriorly attached to the floor of the buccal cavity, whereas anterior end is free. It is free. Okay, it is externally surrounded by the mucous membrane and submucosa. This part is having lingual tonsils. Can you see here? Lingual tonsils. Here palatine tonsils are there. This is epiglottis. You know what is epiglottis? Epiglottis is a lid-like structure present over the opening of trachea, larynx, called glottis. Glottis is closed by epiglottis. Lingual tonsils. Okay. So look here. This is the tongue, cross section of the tongue. This part, central part of the tongue, is composed of striated muscles, and these striated muscles are arranged in three patterns: longitudinal are there, then transverse and vertical. So these are longitudinal striated muscles, transverse striated muscles, and these are vertical striated muscles. The central part is mainly composed of muscles. Blood vessels are there, connective tissue is there, blood vessels. So these are blood vessels, can you see here? Nerves are there. Some lingual ducts are there. These are lingual glands. Externally, see, this is the dorsal surface of the tongue, and this is ventral surface of the tongue. Okay, so dorsal surface of the tongue is having mucosa membrane, submucosa, and this is lamina propria, connective tissue is there. So lamina propria extends into the papillae as a core part. So ventrally, this is ventral part of the tongue. Okay, so this is the cross section of the tongue. So these are papillae, different types of papillae. These are called as lingual papillae. There are 4 different types of lingual papillae. We'll discuss now. Okay, the muscle bundles run in 3 planes and cross one another at right angles. The tongue contains no bony supports. Yes, tongue has no bones. No bony supports for these muscles. The intrinsic muscles originate and lie entirely within the tongue. Intrinsic muscles means muscles present inside the tongue. So these originate and lie entirely within the tongue, while the extrinsic muscles originate from structure outside the tongue and attach the tongue to other structures. Attachment of tongue to the floor of the buccal cavity is done by extrinsic muscles. So extrinsic muscles help in keeping the tongue in its position. The extrinsic muscles reposition the tongue, while the intrinsic muscles alter the shape of the tongue for talking and swallowing. While talking and swallowing, we move our tongue. That movement of the tongue is due to the activity of intrinsic muscles. Intrinsic muscles are also striated muscles. You know what are striated muscles? Striated muscles are voluntary muscles. They are voluntary muscles, and they are also called as skeletal muscles. But here in tongue, bones are lacking. Okay, only they are working under our will and wish. So whenever we talk, we make use of tongue. So tongue is moved with the help of intrinsic striated muscles. The submucosa is present only on the undersurface, where the mucosa is thin and loose the mucous membrane. So submucosa is present only on the undersurface, lower surface, where the mucosa is thin. Mucosa is thin here. Here mucosa is thin, whereas here mucosa is thick. So undersurface, submucosa is present only on the lower surface, undersurface of the tongue. So submucosa is present only on the undersurface, where the mucosa is thin and loose. The mucous membrane is closely adherent to the subjacent muscles, means the mucosa is attached to muscles, and is smooth on the lower surface but is uneven dorsally. The membrane, submucosa membrane, is smooth on the lower surface of the tongue. So if you lift your tongue and observe the lower part of the lower surface of the tongue, it would be very smooth, very smooth. But upper surface of the tongue is not smooth. It is having papillae, peg-like papillae. So these papillae help in holding the food and understanding the taste of the food. Taste buds are present in the lingual papillae. So, okay, this is the tongue cross section. Mucosa, stratified squamous epithelium is present here. Stratified squamous epithelium. On both surfaces, the dorsal surface forms papillae. The dorsal surface forms the papillae. Mucosa forms papillae. Submucosa has minor salivary glands that secrete both mucus and serous secretions. Muscles. Core of skeletal was striated muscles running in all directions. See, here straight muscles are present. Next, lingual papillae. Lingual papillae. So the dorsal mucosa of the body of tongue is roughened by fine excrescence called lingual papillae, while the base presents a regular bulgings. There are no lingual papillae on the underside of the tongue. On the underside of the tongue, lower side of the tongue, papillae are absent. Papillae are lacking. Papillae are present only on the dorsal surface. Dorsal surface of the tongue is called dorsum. So dorsum has lingual papillae. So it is covered with a smooth mucous membrane with the fold lingual frenulum in the center, lower at the center of the tongue, of the ventral surface. The connection is there between tongue and floor of the buccal cavity. That is called lingual frenulum. If you lift your tongue is attached to the floor of the buccal cavity with the help of septum, thin septum. That septum is called as lingual frenulum. So there are 4 types of lingual papillae. How many types? There are 4 types of lingual papillae. They are as follows: filiform papillae, fungiform papillae, circumviolet papillae, and foliate papillae. Okay, so except filiform papillae, all other 3 types of papillae are having taste buds. So look here, different types of papillae are magnified here. This is circumviolet papillae. Can you see it? Its upper surface is flattened. It has a stalk with the help of which it is connected to the central part of the tongue, and between the papilla and the surrounding tissue there is a groove. You can see there is a tunnel. Crypt is there. This is called circumviolet papillae. Circumviolet papillae is the largest one. Filiform papillae. These are filiform papillae. They are leaf-like structures. So fungiform papillae, fungus-like. It is fungus-like. Can you see here? And this is foliate papillae. So central part is the lamina propria, core of the papilla. So these are 4 different types of papilla. So let us discuss them one by one. Lingual papillae. Filiform papillae. Filiform papillae So these consists of a central core of connective tissue. This is the core of the papillae. Core of the papillae is called lamina propria. Lamina propria, and this is the filiform papillae. Filiform papillae. So these may be provided with secondary papillae. These are secondary papillae having pointed ends. These measure 2 to 3 mm in length and occur in multiple rows. The epithelial cells are flattened and may be cornified. They are cornified, little bit cornified means their epithelial cells may be having keratin protein, and it contains no taste buds. Taste buds are lacking here. Except filiform papillae, all other 3 types of papillae are having taste buds. Next, fungiform papillae. So fungiform papillae are mushroom shaped. See, these are fungiform papillae. They are mushroom shaped. Their top surface is flattened. These are called fungiform papillae. So fungiform papillae, these are 0.7 to 1.8 mm in length and 0.4 to 1 mm in the breadth. Each consists of a short, slightly constricted stalk and a spherical, slightly flattened upper part. The connective tissue core is produced into many secondary papillae, and the epithelium covering them. Epithelium covering them has smooth surface. Smooth surface is there. Okay. Some of the fungiform papillae possess taste buds. Taste buds are here. At the sides, taste buds are present. Okay. The papillae are red in color, being richly supplied with blood capillaries. Next, the fungiform papillae, mushroom shaped. They are less numerous, present on tip and sides of the tongue, has taste buds. Next, the papilla is circumvalent papilla. Circumvalent papillae. So circumvalent papillae, these are largest lingual papillae found sunken into the mucous membrane. There are 8 to 14 circumvalent papillae arranged in a V shape in front of the sulcus terminalis. In front of the sulcus terminalis, see, these are circumvalent papillae. So these circumvalent papillae present between the posterior part of the tongue and anterior part of the tongue. They form a V-shaped structure. Can you see it? Behind this, the sulcus terminalis is there. Next, each papilla has an inverted conical form. Inverted conical form. Okay, and consists of a central core of connective tissue. Connective tissue is here, and it produces into secondary papillae. These are secondary papillae. Only on the upper surface, the side walls usually contain several taste buds. Side walls. You can see a taste buds are present here. So 8 to 12 papillae located just anterior to the sulcus terminalis, large circular papillae, each is surrounded by a deep groove, has taste buds. It has taste buds. Next, foliate papilla. Foliate papillae, these are leaf shaped. These are longitudinal oval bulgings of the mucous membrane, which are rudimentary in man but are well developed in other mammals. These are chiefly found at the side of the tongue. Side of the tongue has foliate type of papillae. These are the form of transversely arranged ridges separated by deep grooves. The lateral surface of these ridges contain taste buds. Here taste buds are present. Lateral surface. Okay. So this is about foliate type of, the lingual papillae. So thus there are 4 different types of lingual papillae are present on the dorsal surface of the tongue. So here 4 different types of papillae are present. So filiform, fungiform, foliate and circumvallate papillae. Now let us talk about taste buds. Taste buds. So tongue is the primary organ of taste and it can detect 4 basic taste components such as sweet, sour, salty and bitters. All the papillae except the filiform papillae have taste buds on their surface. These are small, ovoid or barrel shaped. So these are taste buds. It's here. So these are small, ovoid or barrel shaped bodies differentiated into a wide bottom and short neck. Wide bottom and short neck. These are embedded in the stratified squamous epithelium. This is stratified squamous epithelium. It is embedded in the stratified squamous epithelium of the lingual papillae, and each taste bud is formed of a number of the cells, tall columnar epithelial cells, which are of 2 types. These are of 2 types. Tall cells are there. These are of 2 types. So supporting cells and neuroepithelial taste cells. These are taste cells, and in between these taste cells, supporting cells are present here. So these taste cells are also called as gustatory cells, and these are supporting cells, and these are basal cells, and from these gustatory cells, nerve endings originate, and they are sent to brain. So here at the tip, small opening is present. These cells have hair-like structures called microvilli. When food is taken into the mouth, that comes on the surface of tongue. Surface of the tongue has small depressions, small openings. Through these openings, that dissolved food entering into the taste buds, and these taste buds, microvilli, are sensitized by a particular taste, and that taste goes to brain for interpretation. Okay. So the neuroepithelial cells or taste cells are produced into short hair-like processes which project into the pore canal of the taste bud. Special sensory nerve fibers enter the taste buds and supply these cells. The upper side of the posterior tongue, pharyngeal part, has no visible taste buds. See, posterior part of the tongue has no taste buds, but it is bumpy because of the lymphatic nodules. So here lymphatic nodules are present. So these follicles are known as the lingual tonsils. here lingual tonsils are present. Just behind the posterior part of the tongue has lingual tonsils. Okay, so this is about taste buds. So taste buds are one-inch shaped structures in the epithelium of lingual papillae. Fungiform, circumvalent, and the foliform. These the lingual papillae are having taste buds, except filiform papillae. All three types. Okay, that's about taste buds. Next, functions of tongue. Functions of tongue. Tongue contains taste buds helpful in the perception of taste. Okay, main function of the tongue is perception of taste of the food. That is done by the involvement of taste buds. It manipulates food for chewing and swallowing. The tongue manipulates food for chewing and swallowing. The lingual papillae provide friction useful in handling food. Okay, the tongue helps in mixing food particles with saliva during chewing. During chewing, the saliva is properly mixed with food particles, so that the food which is taken into the mouth is dry. Later on, after mixing with the saliva, it would become moist. That moist nature is because of the mixing up of saliva with the food with the help of tongue. The tongue, with its wide variety of possible movements, assists in forming the sounds of speech. Yes, speech, sounds of speech. See, sound box is there. In larynx is the sound box. That sound is coming out of the mouth. While it is coming out of the mouth, tongue is used for producing different words, different words. For producing different words, tongue is helpful. So forming the sounds of speech, for production of speech, for the development of speech, for forming the speech, tongue helps. Therefore, tongue is important in speech. So these are the few functions of tongue. Now let us come to the end of the topic. Assignments part. Assignment. There are 3 assignments. Write types of lingual papillae. Sorry, I have not written here. Lingual papillae. You wrote down. Here you write down. Papillae. Lingual papillae in tongue. Write types of lingual papillae. So 4 different types of papillae are present on the dorsal surface of the tongue. Write the importance of taste buds. Write the importance of taste buds. Why taste buds are necessary? What is their use? How do they perform their function? Write the functions of tongue. Yes, tongue function. So these are the 3 assignments